And business law attorney here, going live as I do every weekday to talk about trademarks, business law, and whatever else I feel like talking about. Today, I'm going to do a case study about related goods. Are coffee and bread related goods? Well, I'll skip right to the end and tell you that yes, they are. That might surprise some of you. It certainly surprised my prospective client yesterday. I had a phone call with him. He called because he wanted to talk about getting a registration for a new startup that he had that is producing some coffee related goods. So he called me, we had a conversation, and he told me that he wanted to register the mark GOODWIN for his coffee goods. Now, of course, I'm making that up. I would never in a million years actually tell anybody what any of my prospective clients actually tell me about the substantive stuff that we talk about. But the case study, using assumed names, including assumed trademark names, of course, is very interesting because it illustrates some important points. I also wanted to talk about this because there was a discussion on a Facebook thread this morning about how it's so much cheaper to have one of these quickie, we register your trademark for $300 or $400 or $600 or whatever the heck it is, instead of going to a real attorney and getting real legal advice. Okay, well, maybe it is cheaper for them to register for it, but it's not the same thing, and you'll see why when we get finished with the case study. So I asked him, I said, okay, well, that all sounds good. And we got off the phone and he said he would talk to his partner about it. Well, I actually went on to the trademark office website because I wanted to do a search and see if anybody else was using GOODWIN. That's the made-up mark I just made to avoid giving out any of my prospective clients' information. But I wanted to see if anybody else had GOODWIN registered for coffee or for any other related goods. So what's a related good? A related good is anything that consumers are used to seeing in the same stream of commerce as the goods in question. The goods in question were coffee beverages. What else do we see in the stream of commerce with coffee beverages? We see, think about the kinds of stuff that people who sell coffee beverages sell. Starbucks. What does Starbucks sell? Coffee mugs, breads, pastries, snack food, gift cards, chocolates, ground coffee, whole coffee beans, coffee makers, coffee grinders, right? So all of those things would, to a consumer, be related because they all tend to emanate from the same source. That means the same company tends to produce those or sell those goods and or services, and they move in the same stream of commerce. When we walk into a coffee shop, it is customary to see all of those things, even though they may be in different international classes and very different in our minds. We are used to, as consumers, seeing all those goods in the same shop, maybe in the same section of the department store, for example. Okay, but just going with the case study, we're used to seeing all of those things that I just mentioned in the same store, in the same retail environment. So when I did a search on the mark, I wanted to see, does anybody have this registered for bread or pastries or any other thing that you might commonly see in a coffee shop? And sadly, I did find the exact mark, okay? Not a similar mark, although a similar mark would also be a problem. The exact mark was registered for bread and baked goods. So I thought, oh geez, I'm gonna have to tell this poor guy that he's gonna have to, choose a new brand. Let's talk about that for a second. So let's back up. Anything that's confusingly similar is going to be refused registration by the trademark examiner. That means that if the mark is the same or similar, it doesn't have to be the same, and the goods are related, okay? And I just gave an example of some goods that are related as to coffee beverages. So if the mark is the same or similar and the goods are related to an existing mark, that proposed mark will be refused registration unless the examiner is either super stupid or asleep or, I don't know, on drugs, cold medication, I don't know. But it is, almost 100% certainty that mark is not going to issue, and Even if you do get it past the examiner, the owner of the existing mark may very likely object as well, and then you're going to deal with a trademark opposition. So better just not to mess around with this stuff. So that's why before you submit your trademark application, you actually need to get a search from somebody who will do a thorough search that knows what they're looking for. When you go to one of these super cheapy trademark filing services, they do an exact mark search, and that's all. In this case, an exact mark search wouldn't have turned up their mark for coffee. That would have been filed 4 months later, because that's how long it takes the trademark examiner to respond to a submitted application on the average. 4 months later, you're going to have a refusal. You will have wasted the filing fee and spent the previous 4 months investing in a brand that you cannot register and protect. It's not even worth it, okay? You might just as well save your money, get some good advice. You know, I mean, the ideal thing to do is do a trademark search before you adopt the name in the first place. That would have turned up, had a trademark attorney done the search for these people before they adopted the mark, that would have turned up this conflict. But when you go to a cheapy filing service, you're not paying them enough. They can't afford to do a good search. So you're not getting the best service, and you may likely get a refusal and have to start all over again. If you think it's worth it, go that route. It's fine. Everybody gets to make those choices. But if I'm a new business owner, I don't have time to waste on that stuff, and I'd rather just get it right the first time. I'm Angela Langlotz, and I go live here every day to talk about trademarks, businesses, copyrights, patents, and any and all intellectual property issues. You can find me online at TrademarkDoctor.net. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TrademarkDoctor. And if you like my page, you can be notified every time I go live, and that's every weekday. If you would like to share this video, please go ahead. I give you permission. In fact, I encourage it. And I will see you all tomorrow.